It's been a while since I've done a video talking about what happened last year. Well, last year with Payton Gendron at the Tops grocery store in Buffalo, New York, in which he murdered brutally 10 black people inside of that store. And I think the last time I talked about it was just basically acknowledging that he will be in prison for the rest of his life without the possibility of parole. I don't know if they got the hate crime attached to it, although it should have been there if they didn't have it, but it is what it is. But the reason why I'm talking about the story today is because a new development came out. No, they are not releasing Payton Gendron. That's definitely not happening. But this is actually a good thing on behalf of the family or the loved ones of the victims of what he did. Because we all know that Payton Gendron, we could say, was radicalized on some of these social media sites. Well, according to the ABC News, which I'm going to read this article from, their loved ones, the victims' loved ones, are suing various social media accounts for the role they played in with what he did. And I said, this is a great thing. And I think they have a very strong case, considering he's now in jail, in prison for the rest of his life for what he did. So this is actually, in my opinion, a strong case for them to possibly actually win. And I said, before I even got into this article, there's one site in particular that definitely needs to be on there. And I'm going to read this article and we're going to go through it. Loved ones of those killed in the 2022 Buffalo grocery store mass murder filed a wrongful death lawsuit Friday against a number of social media companies, alleging they facilitated the teenage killer's, I don't know why they call him teenage, because he definitely was, 18, I think. We're going to say facilitated the killer's white supremacist radicalization by allowing racist propaganda to fester on their platforms. The lawsuit filed in state Supreme Court in Buffalo also names as defendants a gun dealer and body armor company, as well as the parents of the confessed killer, Payton Gendron. I know that's right. They going after everybody. Gendron was motivated to commit his heinous crime by racist, anti-Semitic, and white supremacist propaganda fed to him by the social media companies whose products he used, the lawsuit argues. Now, you notice they had to throw in the anti-Semitic part, even though he didn't go in there and kill anybody who was part of that community. But because he mentioned their name in the manifesto, they had to throw them in there. Just an observation that I noticed. The lawsuit argues, adding that Payton Gendron was not raised by a racist family, did not live in a radically polarized community, and had no personal history of negative interactions with black people, even though he planned this. This man drove 300, I believe, miles from his home to come and commit this murder. And he was very strategic and very particular about who he murdered. The legal action comes just 2 days before Buffalo residents commemorate the 1-year mark since the May 14th, 2022 shooting rampage at a Top store on the city's predominantly black east side. The lawsuit was filed by Buffalo attorney John Elmore on behalf of the loved ones of Hayward Patterson, Catherine Massey, and Andre McNeil, 3 of the 10 black people killed in the mass murder. The suit is supported by the Social Media Victims Law Center, an organization that works to hold social media companies legally accountable for the alleged harm it is claimed they inflict on vulnerable users. I'm hoping that something will come out of it. Every day, or every few days, all you hear about is a mass shooting, Massey's sister Barbara Massey Maps told ABC News of the lawsuit. You've got to start somewhere in order for them to get the message. These big companies only know one thing, and that is money. So you've got to hurt them. How many people do you want to see dead? Among the defendants named in the lawsuit are Meta, the parent company of Facebook, the instant messaging app Snapchat, Discord, Reddit, Google, which owns YouTube, and Amazon, which owns Twitch. The site Gendron used to live stream the killing rampage. And that was the site I knew for a fact was going to be in there because of that. The dark website 4chan is also named as a defendant, as well as the Vintage Firearms Company and the RMA Armament Company. The lawsuit alleges the social media platforms aided in rapidly spreading Gendron's hate via copies of his live stream of the shooting across multiple platforms, where it became known as the murder video and viewed by more than 3 million people. Gendron used Amazon's Twitch to live stream the first 2 minutes of the rampage before it was taken down by the operators of the popular gaming platform, the lawsuit states. And that's crazy that it lasted 2 freaking minutes. Look at how many views it got in just 2 minutes. And I'm talking about live viewers, not playback or anything like that. Despite it being taken down, the video was downloaded to 4chan according to the suit. See how fast they got it? After just being up for 2 minutes. Within 30 minutes of when the link was first posted to 4chan, another 4chan user had downloaded it, uploaded it to a video sharing platform, and posted a link to that other video sharing platform on 4chan. So you see how it just spread after just being active on Twitch for 2 minutes, and you see why these families are going after them. Because it spread. It didn't just stay on Twitch and get taken down and you didn't see it again. It spread to 4chan into other sites for their own personal enjoyment. They loved seeing this white man go in there and slaughter these black people in real time. This is what you call a digital lynching. Remember what their ancestors did back in the day, which is why I said they are their ancestors. Then they are. Whenever they will lynch a black man, and they would take pictures of them, they call it a picnic, and then they would take that picture, produce it, turn it into a postcard, and send it to family members. That's exactly what they did here. Only it was not a picture, it was a video. Copies of the horrific video appeared on Facebook next to advertisements, the lawsuit contends. While Facebook eventually turned off banner advertising for searches related to the Buffalo shooting, the murder video continued to circulate on Facebook, and on information and belief Facebook algorithms continue to recommend it, the suit alleges. Discord was named as a defendant because it is where Gendron chronicled the progress of his plan for months, and where a half hour before the attack, he announced it to several Discord users he invited into a chat room, according to the lawsuit. The suit alleges Gendron became addicted in his early teens to Meta's Instagram, Google's YouTube, and Snapchat, which is owned by a company called Snap Inc. Because of the dangerously defective and unreasonably dangerous algorithms powering Instagram, YouTube, and Snapchat, Gendron quickly became a problematic user of the social media defendant's products. He accessed his social media accounts multiple times per hour and at all hours of the night, according to the lawsuit. The plaintiffs accuse YouTube, Snapchat, and Instagram of directing Gendron to progressively more extreme and psychologically discordant content. Now, you want to know what's so funny? And we're on YouTube right now. They will shadow ban the new black media, but they're mentioned in this lawsuit. Interesting. Taking full advantage of the incomplete development of Gendron's frontal lobe, Instagram, YouTube, and Snapchat maintain his product engagement by directing him to increasingly extreme and violent content, which upon information and belief promoted racism, anti-Semitism, and gun violence, the lawsuit contends. The lawsuit goes on to allege because the Instagram, YouTube, and Snapchat algorithms were designed with singular goal of maximizing Gendron's product engagement over his psychological, emotional, and ethical well-being. By directing him to sites promoting hate and violence, these products were functioning as designed and intended. And when you look at some of the content creators, quote unquote, on YouTube, and shout out to Professor Black Truth, like those geeks and gamers and stuff like that, and you see what they talk about, I bet I wouldn't be surprised if he got radicalized by even some of them. I said one of the worst things you can do is when something like this happens and a person who did what they did name drops you. Look at what happened with Mauricio Garcia. He name dropped Nick Fuentes and Just Pearly Things as inspiration, quote unquote, before he did what he did down in Allen, Texas at that mall. So they better be very fortunate that Payton Gendron didn't start naming certain YouTubers by name, by username. But the fact that, you know, they're going after YouTube and these other places is saying a lot. And notice YouTube was mentioned about 4 or 5 times so far in this article, alongside Instagram and Snapchat. Even more than Twitch, which we know he used to stream what he did. We have a zero tolerance policy for hate speech and discrimination of any kind, Snapchat said in a statement to ABC News. We deliberately design Snapchat differently than traditional social media platforms and don't allow unvetted content to go viral or be algorithmically promoted. Instead, we vet all content before it can reach a large audience, which helps protect against the discovery of potentially harmful or dangerous content. Vintage Firearms, a gun dealer in Endicott, New York, was named as a defendant because it sold Gendron the Bushmaster XM15 E2S he used in the attack. As part of his investigation of the Bushmaster at Vintage Firearms, Gendron writes that he learned how to modify the weapon so that it would take high-capacity ammunition magazines, the lawsuit alleges. After purchasing his murder weapon at Vintage Firearms, Gendron continued to loyally patronize the store and find camaraderie there. The lawsuit alleges RMA Armament, where the killer purchases body armor, knew or should have known permitting Payton Gendron to obtain their product would result in unreasonable danger due to the use of their product. Gendron, now 19, pleaded guilty to committing the murders and was sentenced in February to life in prison without the possibility of parole. He also became the first person in New York State to face a charge of domestic terrorism motivated by hate, for which he also pleaded guilty. So he did get the hate crime charge. I don't know if that's still ongoing as far as, him being convicted, though. During his sentencing hearing in February, Gendron, from a predominantly white Conklin, New York, a 3-hour drive from Buffalo, claimed he was brainwashed by online racist propaganda, saying, "I believe what I read online and acted out of hate." During the sentencing hearing, one of Gendron's attorneys, Brian Parker, also said the racist hate that motivated this crime was spread through online platforms, and the violence that was made possible was in part due to the easy access of assault weapons. Gendron's radicalization on social media was neither a coincidence nor an accident. It was the foreseeable consequences of social media companies' conscious decisions to design platforms that maximize user engagement and corresponding advertising revenue at the expense of public safety. It adds the social media platforms that Gendron encountered are equipped with sophisticated algorithms designed to addict teenage users by taking advantage of their incomplete brain development and maintain their engagement through increasingly extreme and psychologically discordant content. The lawsuit mirrors a scathing report released in October by New York Attorney General Letitia James' office, alleging several online platforms, including some of those named in the lawsuit, played roles in the Buffalo mass shooting by radicalizing Gendron as he consumed voluminous amounts of racist and violent content, and then by allowing him to broadcast the deadly attack. The report contended that anonymous, largely unmoderated websites and platforms like 4chan allegedly influenced Gendron. It also said live streaming platforms like Twitch were weaponized to publicize and encourage copycat attacks. The Attorney General's office findings came with a call for new legislation to address what she called a lack of oversight, transparency, and accountability, which she said allows hateful and extremist views to proliferate online. A major hurdle in the lawsuit is expected to be Section 230 of the 1996 Communications Decency Act, which protects social media platforms and other sites from legal liability that could result from content posted by users. In February, the U.S. Supreme Court heard oral arguments in the case of Gonzalez versus Google LLC, which concerns a lawsuit brought by the family of Nohemi Gonzalez, an American woman who was killed in an ISIS terrorist attack in Paris in 2015. The lawsuit against Google alleges that its YouTube recommended ISIS recruitment videos to users. The case centers on whether Section 230 protects online platforms from legal liability when it comes to their recommended content. If the U.S. Supreme Court rules in favor of Google, it would formally extend legal immunity to the algorithms at the heart of many social media products and search engines. But if the High Court rules in favor of the plaintiff, the decision could expose the platforms to a raft of new legal vulnerabilities and produce major changes, legal experts told ABC News. Twitch issued a statement in the immediate aftermath of the Buffalo attack saying it stopped the Buffalo gunman's live feed of the shooting in 2 minutes. "We take our responsibility to protect our community extremely seriously, and trust and safety is a major area of investment," Twitch said in a statement, adding, "It was continuously examining the Buffalo shooting and sharing those learnings with our peers in the industry to support a safer internet overall." We have the deepest sympathies for the victims and families of the horrific attack at Tops grocery store in Buffalo last year. Through the years, YouTube has invested in technology teams and policies to identify and remove extremist content, Google said in a statement to ABC News. We regularly work with law enforcement and other platforms and civil society to share intelligence and best practices. Meta said that as of August 15, 2022, it identified more than 1,151 militarized social movements, mostly associated with the far-right conspiracy group QAnon, and removed about 4,200 pages, 20,800 groups, 200 events, 59,800 Facebook profiles, and 8,900 Instagram accounts. We continue to strengthen our enforcement by identifying additional militarized social movements and new terms associated with QAnon, Meta said. We'll continue consulting experts to inform our strategy and will identify and remove content accordingly. Discord also released a statement in the immediate aftermath of the shooting saying, "We extend our deepest sympathies to the victims and their families and will do everything we can to assist law enforcement in the investigation." The lawsuit accuses Gendron's parents of negligent entrustment, alleging Paul Gendron entrusted his son with a rifle, a dangerous instrument that was among the weapons Gendron took to the Tops shooting on May 14, 2022. Paul and Paula Gendron had constructive possession of all of the firearms that Gendron kept at their house, whether they purchased the weapons or not. The lawsuit notes the police investigation found that in 2021, Gendron posted in an online forum for a high school that he planned to commit a murder-suicide. He underwent a psychiatric evaluation, and New York State Police visited his home after this threat. As of June 2021, Paul and Pamela Gendron had actual knowledge that their son was contemplating murder and that he owned multiple guns. Nevertheless, though Gendron lived in his parents' home and was under their care, custody, and control on information and belief, they did nothing to deny his access to firearms and otherwise remove such dangerous instrumentalities from his possessions. Gendron's parents have not responded to ABC News attempts to reach them for comment. After their son pleaded guilty to the state charges in November, Paul and Pamela Gendron released a statement saying, "Our hearts are broken over the devastation he caused to the innocent victims he killed and wounded, and their families, and the African American community in Buffalo and beyond." ABC News has reached out to the defendants for comment. So that was a very lengthy article right there. I didn't even know they were going to go into all of that. I thought they were just going to focus on the social media accounts, but they went into talking about the store that he bought this gun from and the armor, plus his parents and the role they play in it. So yeah, like I said, I have a strong feeling that these families and these loved ones have a very strong and solid case here. They have a very strong and solid case, especially since, you know, what happened did happen, and the fact that Payton Gendron is currently in prison now for life without the possibility of parole, and then he still has the hate crime still attached to him as well, that I believe that they'll probably have to go back to court for, which in my opinion they should easily find him guilty of that. They should easily convict him of that. But yeah, like I said, I just found it to be very interesting how many times YouTube was mentioned in this article. Because I thought Twitch was going to be the one they was going to focus heavily on, because that's how many people saw the video. That's the platform he used to live stream on there. But they were connecting how various different websites aided in this, whether directly or indirectly, probably mainly indirectly, but you're attached somehow, some way. So I hope that the families of the victims get everything that they can get out of this right here. I can't wait to see what that comment section for this video is going to look like, especially for those of us in the new black media, considering the stuff that we have to go through on this platform. I know for me, I think I'm probably going through it right now. I go through it, which seems to be damn near quarterly at this point. I can almost pinpoint when it's going to happen and how it's going to happen and probably how long it's going to last.